Hey there, my name is sjofors. Weird name, you know that by now. Makes perfect sense if you're Scandinavian or Swedish like me. Maybe easier to remember me as the Price Whisper. I got that moniker, by the way, because I was called the Price Whisper so many times. So at one point I said, "What the heck? Why don't I just adopt it and sort of let it be me in a way?" Today, I'm going to talk about pricing in inflationary times and something that we obviously all experience at the moment. Over the last, I think, 6 months or so, this recording is done in June 2022. For the last 6 months, we've had quite significant inflation here, and obviously we've all been affected by it. We've seen prices go up on some products more than other products, some services more than other services, but prices in general has gone up as we all know. Now, what does that mean for you as a selling company? Well, really two things, or maybe three things. First off, it means that your cost has gone up. Even if you do a service, even if you maybe sell something off the web, your maybe hosting fees have gone up, and maybe the customer support fee has gone up. I have a client who said cost of new hires have gone up with 34%, right? So there's a lot of cost that goes up, and I also talk to a lot of CEOs in general terms, and most of them are just trying to absorb these cost increases, right? We've seen inflation, but most of it has been in the cost of energy and gas, particularly the price of cars, the price of airline tickets and hospitality, in general, hotels and restaurants. But when we look at many consumer goods, they haven't gone up, and even more so with certain business to business goods and services. And what that means is that the sellers, whether it's a manufacturer or a distributor or a retailer, is just simply trying to absorb that added cost. Why is that? Well, so and this kind of gets to the meat here. The I said I speak to a lot of CEOs, and many of them are really scared. They think that if we increase our prices with only 1% or with only a fraction of what our cost has gone up, we're going to lose our whole business. We're going to lose our entire customer set. They're all going to flee to competition. That's not so at all. It's not so for a variety of reasons. First of all, your competition is going to increase prices too. And if you happen to be the first one that does it, good for you, because if they can obtain your prices in one way or another, obviously if you're selling online and have your prices online, it's easy. But when they see that you've increased prices, they will increase prices too, and sort of an equilibrium is being established again, right? So that's one thing to consider. The other to consider is that if your competition have increased your prices and you have not just absorbed the cost, it means that they have an edge on you, right? Why can I say that? Well, it means that they have more margins than you have, for more product development, for more marketing, for more sales development, to make them more competitive and have a more appealing product to the buyer. And if you didn't increase your price and they did because of inflation, you're going to have less resources for all of the above. So they're going to eat your lunch. You probably don't want that, right? Okay. So that's one thing that one of the dangers of not increasing prices in inflationary times. The other is that if you don't, your low price will set a message of inferior quality. There's something called expectation bias that has been proven again and again and again, and it works for everybody. It works for me when I buy something, it works for you when you buy something, and it works for all your customers when they buy something. And that is that the price sets an expectation of the benefit and quality of the product or service you're about to buy. And if you're the low-cost alternatives in your particular business, it sets an expectation of lesser quality, lesser benefits than that of your competition, who are higher in prices. So you're going to see lower sales, right? They may have increased prices to compensate for their cost increases, and you didn't, and therefore you may well see a lower sales volume. Okay. Then there's one more thing, and that is that there's switching cost, right? So let me put myself in a consumer shoes, if you like. And I buy something from a brand that I trust, whether it may be a store brand, it may be a brand that I constantly buy because it's a product that I use all the time. It may be some food stuff. It may be dishwasher liquid or something like that. It doesn't matter. It's something that is a repeat purchase. And if you increase your prices of the stuff that I buy, and your competition is not, I'm still going to be loyal to the brand that I prefer to buy from, because there's a switching cost. In this case, there's a mental switching cost. I trust the brand for whatever reason. It gives me what I want, and it's a fear factor to go to another brand because I don't know if that's going to be as good, or maybe it's going to be better. But it certainly is. I don't know. And behavioral economics have proven that our fear of being disappointed by a purchase is 2.25% stronger than our expected pleasure of the benefit of the same purchase. So our purchases, we are driven by fear. And here we have a situation where the fear of switching to another brand, to another product, and our fear is it going to be the same? Is it going to be better? Unlikely. Is it going to be the same? Is it going to give me the same benefit or not? And that fear means that we are likely to buy the brand, the product that we are used to buy, even if prices goes up. And let's say competition is not increasing their prices. And the same obviously goes for a business-to-business environment. In business-to-business, it's slightly different, of course, because first you have that same fear factor. Is an alternative who didn't increase prices because of inflation, is an alternative as good? But then in businesses, there are processes that may have changed. There may be qualification or certification necessary for the alternative, and this is just, it takes time and it's costly and it's a pain to do. So that's a real cost that a business to business environment may incur as a switching cost. And then there is a human cost too. If you have established communication channels with the brand that you trust, for the product or service that you trust, and if you're going to switch to some alternative, the question is going to be, can I trust them the same way as I trust the old one? I have to establish new channels of communication. I have to trust the new people that I'm going to deal with. And all of this means that there is like I said, there is a hard switching cost, but there's also a soft human switching cost. And both of these leads to a situation where as a buyer, I'm quite likely to accept the price increases you may do to compensate for inflation, right? And then, of course, the very last thing you may think about when it comes to adjusting prices for inflation, and that is to adjust it more than inflation, to take the opportunity where everybody knows there is inflation and everybody expects prices to go up, to increase your prices, not only to compensate for your cost increase and compensate for inflation, but add more, right? Because your customers, whether it's a B2B customer or a consumer, expect a price increase. So they are not going to be as sensitive to a price increase as if there were no inflation, right? And why you want to do that? Well, just like I mentioned, you want to increase your prices so you can increase your profitability, so you can develop more products or services, so you can spend more on marketing, spend more on sales, and overall become more competitive, because you can reach out to more people, you can have a even better product to market fit, and you can target the right customers in a maybe a different way, and so forth. So profits are good, and I've talked about that in the past, and it's you can use inflation as the reason for adjusting your prices more than inflation. And then, of course, you also have to continue doing this. I mean, yes, we have inflation now. We've had it for the last 6 or 9 months, whatever it is, a strong inflation. And that may continue for some while. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know for how long. There's people out there with supposedly with crystal balls and say it's going to continue for X number of months, and they may be right, they may be wrong, who knows. But inflation is here. Even when we have low inflation, you still need to adjust your prices annually or maybe twice annually to compensate for maybe a smaller inflation. So once you've done it once, continue to do it, and not like the companies like the CEOs who I speak to occasionally. You say, I haven't dared to increase our prices for 7 years. Now I'm not profitable anymore, and I have to. I have my back against the wall, right? You don't want to be in that situation, right? You want to make sure that your customers are also used to expect a yearly or a bi-yearly price increase with only a couple of percent maybe. But make that a yearly event and communicate it as a yearly event or half-yearly event, whatever is most appropriate for your business. All right. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for your time. I hope you found this informative and useful to think of pricing in inflationary time in the way I just described it. And so thanks for now, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next episode. Bye.